Okay, so today I want to show you a few things about building soil and compost, and I'm starting in the back garden where the soil has been built up for a number of years, and you can just see by the size of the garlic here in early June and the rhubarb after one picking already, just how vigorous and healthy it is. So after building the soil for a number of years, we've got good productivity. Over here we got one apple tree that produces enough apples for two people to eat for an entire year. And building soil has two components to it. So first of all, there's the nutrients that we want to get to grow plant food, but also water holding capacity and microorganisms. So we're going to start off with worm bins, and in these worm bins I'm throwing every week the leftovers from the kitchen, coffee grounds I get from a coffee shop, and what you're seeing here is 1 year old. So I'm going to just move around with my shovel, and you can see how full of life it is. So these worms have been digesting all that wonderful waste instead of going to the landfill. And this is just beautiful, full of nutrients. It's going to grow me some good stuff here this summer. Now, if I didn't have compost or nutrients, I would have no choice to be like a regular commercial farmer and be using fertilizer. And for a lot of reasons, while the fertilizer, while it has some effect, it is short term. It does cause pollution. It is a non-renewable resource. What you see in that bucket has been sourced from all over the world. Urea, ammonium phosphate. It is a non-renewable resource. So let's go across the street where we have the garden that I mentioned earlier that was built in just a couple of days. And in this garden I didn't have a lot of soil to work with. April was panic mode. Grocery stores were empty. Nobody knew how long this whole COVID situation would be going. And so these garden beds are built with really crappy soil. In fact, I had so little soil that the bottom half of them is just simply wood chips. And so some of them got a little more compost, some got less. But just take a look at these squash here. Just how yellow they are, how deficient they are in nitrogen. Peas seem to be doing better because, of course, they've got some nitrogen fixing capacity, but the growth isn't doing as well as I would hoped. And so I need to get some of that stuff out of those worm bins onto these bins. So now we're going to head over and look at compost pile. Oh, just one more thing. In the PowerPoint, you saw a slide on bacterial versus fungal dominated soils. And so this compost was not fully finished, so it has a tremendous amount of wood matter in it. And I had to take the cotton net here, take the covers off. Tremendous amount of fungal growth. This thing here was all just covered with mushrooms. If I go down the other end, we can see that. Hope you don't get seasick as I move through. The potatoes here, it looks like someone barfed, but that's a fungal growth because it's not properly composted. In fact, most of this stuff barely got 2 weeks of compost. And just look at the mushrooms that are growing in here. So the relative balance between the browns and the greens, how much carbon we have, how much nitrogen we have, whether it's fungal versus bacterial dominated. Okay, so we're going to head down the end of the street here and have a look at this compost pile. So I'm fortunate I've got a variety of sources. one of your upcoming assignments is to find where are your sources. Everybody should have kitchen waste. I've got a source of wood chips, you can see just behind the tractor, and grain from the brewery. And so I'm going to shove this thermometer into this pile, and let's see, hopefully it's up to around 50 to 60 degrees Celsius as it goes up. Yeah, that's shooting up really, really good. So I've got a good hot pile going, and this stuff's gradually turning into good soil, and I'm going to be able to supplement those beds and build some better soil in there. Okay, so those beds we were just at, they're only a few weeks old. A lot of half-assed stuff put in there, nothing going that great. What are we at here? Probably going to get to 60. We can see the bacterial growth going on here, and I'm going to pull this out of here and just set this over here, and then I'm going to get the bucket of the tractor in there so you can just see how hot that is. Okay. So the nice thing about all this steam coming off is we got a nice hot pile, and if you were here, you'd also find that the smell is actually quite pleasant. It's not an unpleasant smell. Of course, people that live in the city don't like smells of any kind, but as a farmer, I love this smell. Because I'm turning it a lot, so it's aerobically dominated and not anaerobic. If it was anaerobic, if I had left this for weeks and weeks, it wouldn't smell very nice. So that's a quick look around the Prince Rupert farm here and the composting I've got going. And the important thing is we are recycling nutrients, recycling matter. All this stuff is considered waste. If I don't take it, it ends up in the landfill. But to me, this is a huge and valuable resource.